making a knife display board for craft fairs. William Hovey Smith, 2017. I'm the owner of a new company, Hovey's Knives of China. And when we go to craft fairs, we need to display our knives vertically so people can actually see them from a distance. And here is a display board that we made from hardware materials. This is Hovey Smith, the backyard sportsman. And I'm in my knife shop today, and what you see beside me is not our first order for a guillotine. No, we haven't gotten one of those yet. Any day now, though. What this is the frame for a portable display unit that I'll be taking. From time to time, I attend craft shows, and when I do that, it's nice to have the knives actually hanging up, or the knife blanks hanging up, so people can actually walk by and actually see them in the back of my booth somewhere. Because I don't want to put many knives out there on the table where people have ready access to them for obvious reasons. People cut themselves with knives. Yeah, they do that. Now in my shop, we use pegboard a lot. Like hanging up our tools, for example, we're going to do exactly the same thing with our knives or knife blanks. Now this is the upper part of the unit that I built. Right now it's at what might be called the build-up stage. The pieces are not finished and they're not fastening together, they're just resting on top of each other. So, comes off. They'll be bolted together when I'm done. But I've done some interesting things here, particularly to the bottom of the frame. So I want to show you that so you can see it. Since I don't live in the desert Southwest anymore, from time to time we can expect rain and mud and setting up and tearing down in it. So that is a reason for this heavy base. Now this is made out of pine 2x8s. And you can see I have a base plate here that lies on the surface. This plate, this 2x8 cut off and doubled so that this will be flat, more or less. And I can put a concrete block here, actually, when I employ it on the ground. And some good screws here with turn screws so I can disassemble it. Those wing nuts are very, very useful for that. Although this base will probably never be taken apart again. It's glued and screwed and nailed, and yeah, it's sort of there to stay. This part, on the other hand, will be taken apart. I have two metal corner brackets there. And you can see I have mortised this in roughly. Now this is pretty crude. I don't have access to a table saw. So all of this is done with skill saws and that sort of stuff. And so you can't get real precision, exactly right angle cuts and so on and so on and so on with it. Or at least I can't. I'm not at that skill level of carpentry. But I can put it together, and I can measure it close enough so it's a good fit back and forth. So this joint here further reinforces this. Now there's a good nail, a good 10-penny nail that goes through here through both sides. This is glued and it has a corner bracket, so that's holding it together. We have 3 nails in the top here. This is also going to get corner brackets. Now when I put this out in the field, I'm going to drill a hole and put a screw eye here. And actually, on the inside where I have my booth or tent, I'll actually run a line from here to a peg down in the ground to keep the stuff from being blown over in that direction. These feet will keep it from being blown in this direction, so I need something to protect it from winds coming from the other way. So that's the way we handle that. When I disassemble it all, we'll have the base unit this unit and a top unit, and the heaviest piece, even with the board attached, is going to weigh perhaps 20 pounds, which is okay. That's manageable for one guy without too terrible much problem. I pity the poor guys who display maybe 150 pieces of cast concrete and have to haul those things around and put them together at craft shows. So we're going to continue working on this, and I'll show you a photo of it when we actually have it all together. I'm giving all of our components here a good coat of paint, and what I'm using is some leftover house paint I've had for long time. And this is unpainted, of course, and I've just painted this foot piece here. And I'm putting just as much paint on the parts you can see as on the parts you cannot see, because the purpose of the paint is not so much decorative, is to protect this wood and keep it from absorbing moisture and so on and so on and so on when I have it out, sometimes in the weather, on some of these craft shows which are held outdoors. So we've got one piece mostly done and the other two frames to go. And after that, we'll drill them and put them together. The reason for going to the trouble to build up a display panel for my knives is obviously to make the products more visible. Well, the display panel that I'm building has two sides, a front and a back. In the inside of my booth, obviously the panel will be this way, and we'll hang up our knives and knife blanks on the pegboard, so there will be a good display in that direction. But what about the opposite side? The sides that in some cases when I set up is going to face a sidewalk or perhaps the approaching traffic coming this way. It'd also be nice to have something visible on that wall as well. So since I have the pegboard, I'm going to paste some stuff on the other side. And what I've decided to do is to use the lettering style from this, particularly the word China, and make up a template which I have cut out here from this board with X-Acto knives. Yay! And cut out letters as you see here, but it's actually this I'm going to use. Now I've also cut out a profile of one of my knives. So when this is hung, I'm going to place it against a white board and spray paint it Chinese red. And paste that on the back of the pegboard. So here is something more nearly what it's going to look like when it's up. So when spray painted, these will be red letters on a white board. And if the board should get dirty, soil, water soaked, otherwise destroyed, I'll still have the template, and just another application of spray paint, I can do another one. It is these edges right here and the ends of the wood that I want to make sure get a good coating. Because here is where this press board is most vulnerable. The second coat, it doesn't really take much. Our craft show display panel is now completed. I painted it this morning and put the second coat on. And now it's been drying most of the day, and we may have a thunderstorm coming in later this evening. So now that it's dry, I'm going to go ahead and take it down. Now if you build something like this, you probably don't need to make it out of as heavy a material as I did. Because after all, I'm going to be hanging steel from this stuff. And if you were going to put up some lighter weight stuff, then probably you could go with 1x and 2x4s instead of the 2x4s and 2x8s that I've used just to keep this thing stable. Now incidentally, we have had light breezes blowing back and forth through the day, and even though I don't have any block on it, I don't have any other supports, I haven't tied it to anything, it does still stand a moderate wind okay. If you had a real heavy gust, yeah, it would certainly blow it over. But if you want to hang up something at your crafts fair, well, this is one way to go. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. This is another look at some of our knives. And here a close-up of our Cook's knives with some French fries that it did. And one of our Billy Joe Rubidoux knives where we make knives out of found steels. Now I am also an author and have produced a number of books. Among these are Backyard Deer Hunting, Extreme Muzzle Loading, Crossbow Hunting, and Practical Bow Fishing. And all of these have chapters on knives. If you want to build a display board like this, you don't have to make it as heavy as I did. A lot of people can get by with a much lighter unit. For more information on Hovey's Knives of China, you can go to the blog below. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 600 videos, you can go to www.hoveysmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.